All right. All right. Hi, guys. We have a presentation about self-preservation, which I'm pretty sure isn't going to be super awkward for me to share my screen and show that presentation, but we're going to see how that goes. See, almost there. Almost not a pain. Okay, there we are. Oh, excellent. Now we're going to wait for it to load. Fabulous. Okay. So self-preservation is definitely related to the notion of self-care, but it goes a little, I was trying to go backwards and it did not go backwards. There we go. Self-preservation is absolutely related to the notion of self-care. It's a little bit more involved and a little bit more in depth. And we will share a little bit more about why we chose this phrase instead of self-care. Firstly, and this will be kind of in each of the presentations, so definitely take a chance to look through here. This is a land acknowledgement. Please read through. There's a link here at the bottom of this slide. We'll also share that in the description if you want to learn more about local Native American tribes and kind of their history and also what is going on currently in Central Texas. Today's agenda. We are going to, like I said, talk a lot about self-preservation. We have an activity, we're going to define it, and then we're going to just kind of think through some of it. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. I like that quote, I really do. What made you choose that quote?
Audre Lorde. I was like, she was the one, well, my professor was the one who like talk about like self-preservation. So, and then she like showed me this quote and I'm like, I love it so much that I have to put it there because it's true. It's like a political warfare. Like people don't want you to take care of yourself. So I love it.
That is true. Okay. So on the screens that are activity-based screens, feel free to pause the presentation there and think through and work through the activities. If you want to share what you've thought about or any questions you have at any point in time, you are welcome to comment below. You're welcome to send me an email, a text message. My contact information will be both at the end of this presentation and in the description, so you have plenty of ways to get a hold of me if this is a topic that, I don't know, that you want to share with me, kind of what this process has been for you, okay? Literally on the next screen. Yeah. Should have looked over it. A definition, the protection of oneself from harm or death, especially regarded as a basic instinct in human beings and animals. We think of self-preservation as being this kind of physical thing and not this emotional thing. And emotional self-care and psychological self-care is as important as physical self-care, especially given this last year we've been through.
Yeah, it's been a really hard year, and I feel like self-preservation actually, like, it's mostly in our lives, especially since COVID happened and the political and like the environment that we're living in. So
yeah, last year was a tough year for everybody. We will give some examples about kind of how we think about self-preservation. I would love to hear how and what some of you guys are doing for self-preservation for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gives me new ideas kind of all the time. Like every now and then I hear an idea and I'm like, that's brilliant. Why haven't I thought of that? And the other one is, you know, other people who are living near you, residents, friends, family, whoever might be watching this video, they may be struggling with coming up with how to care for themselves as well. And over the last year in particular, what's called like a frustration tolerance, like that ability to just kind of take in and take in and take in and take in, right? It's definitely been more limited because of everything going on, right? And so we've had all the political stuff, both good and bad, right? People standing up for their rights and standing up for what they believe in. And, you know, people who are fighting against that, it causes a lot of emotions. It causes a lot of fear. It causes feelings of helplessness and hurt. And in order to keep moving on, like we definitely have to care for oneself. You know, at the bottom, that age-old, I think, metaphor for this is you have to refill your cup, your glass, like you just have to, right? If you don't care for yourself, you can't care for any of those around you.
Yep.
And I think most of us have people in this world relying on us, whether it's extended family or it's our children or even ourselves, right, at the end of the day. And so it's important to keep that in mind. So please read through why we think this is important. You know, we're also talking about it right now, but I mean, it is, you know, take the time to think through why you think self-preservation might be important. It's not self-indulgence. I run into this a lot with parents, especially. I get a lot of this notion of, well, you're a mom, you know, you don't have any time.
And parents especially need self-preservation in order to like give everything they have to their kids.
Yes.
So they have to feel, like you said, like keep refilling their cup in order to pour into like.
Yes.
You know.
I read this whole article not that long ago about this notion of moms in particular, right? And self-care being go take a hot shower, go take a bath, go get something you like to eat. And it's this interesting thing of these necessities in life are being labeled self-care. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I hear it and I'm just also like, okay, like there's something more there, right? Like caring for oneself has to be more than just meeting our basic needs. You are all you have. You are all you have. It is okay to put yourself first. You know, I think this is just that idea that, you know, at the end of the day, like that's the person at the, you know, who's always going to be there for you, right? It's you. It's not necessarily all of those around you. It's not your job to be everything to everyone. And I think that one just kind of stands on its own.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Like, that one's
we're all in this together. But being in it together and holding somebody entirely together all of the time is just not sustainable. Right. It's why we work so hard to work with you guys and not do things for you guys. I don't want people doing things for me. I would rather somebody teach me how to work through a process or somebody to answer the questions I'm actually asking instead of just saying, you know what, it's easier for me to do this. And having said that, right, like there are certainly moments like with the vaccine, right, and the way the whole system is set up, right. I believe that system is not well thought out. We're literally recording.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Sorry. But it's just it's something to think through. How we all have skills, we all have resources, we all have something to bring to the table. And I think it is important to look for those resources, even when, like within oneself, even when it's hard to find. I think especially when it's hard to find.
Exactly.
It's important to highlight those. Here's an activity. Just think about the ways that you can engage in self-preservation. You know, write them down, put them on your fridge, right? Whatever you need to do for you.
Exactly. Just have them there to remind you that whenever you're feeling like you need to like take care of yourself and like do something for you, you have it there, like reminding you, like, oh, I have to do this. So
absolutely. And feel free to share them if you have something that you think is interesting. You know, like I said earlier, right? Like I think that all too often we sit there and I can say, hey, how do you guys do self-care? How do you guys cope? And people look at me like I'm crazy. And they're like, well, I haven't thought about that. Okay, well, this is an opportunity right here to stop and to think and to work through what that might look like for you, right? And I know planning always feels super intentional, right? Like I'll talk to people and I'm like, hey, like let's develop a plan. And they're like, well, obviously I know what I'm going to do. And it's like, well, sure. But if you thought through all the steps, then when you have to make the decision, you already have like this pre-thought through. And even if you don't go all the way down that path, right? If that's not the plan, if that doesn't end up being what you do, at least you have a starting place.
Yeah, and like writing down things makes you like think more about them and like, oh, like now they are on paper. So
exactly.
They're not just in your head.
Exactly. So some examples that we came up with, and we chose examples that are outside of what I was talking about earlier, like taking a shower or whatever, right? Setting boundaries, right? The people in your life who, you know, you don't feel like are hearing you, who are listening to you, right? Like you can say that. You can just say like, this is really hard for me. And that is okay. that falls into advocating for yourself. And so many of the people here at Think East are amazing at advocating for themselves, right? Standing up, saying, no, I don't like that. Help me figure this out. Or just, what is happening? That's not how somebody should be talking to me. I hear it all the time. Getting out of conversations. I know that I certainly get into conversations sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know how you got here. I don't know what's going on. I need to not do this right now. I need to take 10 minutes and think through what's being said, and then maybe I'll come back to it. Getting a good night's sleep, eating healthy food, or eating food that, getting a cookie or a cupcake or whatever when you're hungry sometimes is great, right? As a treat. But there is definitely a link between eating healthier and just feeling better. Turning off your phone at a certain time. This is one of those things that professionally for me, turn off my phone when I'm done working, or I stop responding to messages, and I have specific times that it's like, okay, this is when I'm going to respond to this. Building a daily routine. For those of us who aren't working full-time jobs, and I definitely fall into this category, working part-time here. I've had to really intentionally build out, this is how my day starts, this is what I'm doing next, it's not a perfect thing, and it certainly changes day by day, but it gives me something to kind of work toward. Social media can be a hot mess. It just can't be. There's a lot going on in the world.
And misinformation in social media too. It's huge.
Have you heard about this thing called doom scrolling? So apparently there's this, I think it's just a relatively new phrase that happened kind of in the last year, where I'm going to look and I'm going to read every single article on everything terrible happening in the world, right? And it's just like, oh my gosh. And I get it, right? Because you want to be informed about what's going on, but it also gets to a point where it's overwhelming. And it's just, all it does is creates this sense of unease and fear and
anxiety,
anger and anxiety.
Yeah, definitely.
Drinking lots of water, and then my absolute personal favorite, giving yourself grace and being kind to yourself. I'm a firm believer that we all do and say stupid stuff or stuff we're not proud of. We all,
like humans,
yes, do and say things that we wish we could take back. Always. And I am certainly one of those people that holds on to that stuff later. I'll be like, oh my gosh, why would I say this? Like years later, I'll be like, I can't believe I said that thing to that person.
Same.
And so I've had to work really hard on the, you know what, I was a kid, or you know what, I was in a bad mood or in a bad place. I've apologized for it. I've acknowledged it. Like all I can do is move forward. But I have to remind myself that. And I think that it's just important for all of us.
Agree.
Questions, contact information. Please feel free to, share anything that you thought of during this presentation, or anything that you think this presentation was missing below, or you can feel free to contact me in one of those various ways and also share that information. There's a lot of good stuff here. This is not all inclusive. We are always looking for outside opinions and thoughts and ways to kind of expand our perspective on it. It's just the two of us making these presentations. Actually, Maria's been making these presentations. I've been offering some feedback on them, and that's about it. And so there's a lot of room for growth and for additional information. So please share. And we'll see you guys next time. Hopefully this ends without my face looking crazy. So we're gonna see. Pause share, stop. See, we're still recording. I know we were gonna look crazy, but now we can say bye.
Bye.
Bye.